This is CRM Audio, the Microsoft Business Applications podcast with Business Applications MVPs George Dubinsky and Joel Lindstrom. This episode is brought to you by MSCRMaddons.com. With focus on productivity and usability, MSCRMaddons.com is a leading provider of high-quality add-on solutions for Dynamics 365. Whether it's the need for professional documents generated and processed on a single click, keeping your storage costs under control by moving documents to SharePoint or Azure Blob, or simplifying your users' daily tasks by improved navigation and activity handling, MSCRMaddons.com add-ons will help you drive efficiency and user experience. We thank MSCRMaddons.com for sponsoring CRM Audio, the Microsoft Business Applications podcast. Welcome to CRM Audio. This is Joel Lindstrom. I'm here with Aengus Heaney, Senior Program Manager with Microsoft. Hi, Aengus.
How you doing, Joel?
I'm doing well. So, Aengus, tell us a little bit about your background with Microsoft. What do you cover, and how long have you been with Microsoft?
Absolutely. I've been at Microsoft now for about 12 years, I would say. I'm not counting. But really started internally in the MSIT organization, engineering PM, working with various teams across our internal tool sets on the order to cash processes. And just recently, in recent years, I've moved into the product group, the Dynamics product group, and now working in the Power Apps team on lighting up new experiences and hopefully experiences that people will get value out of.
Okay, great. And one of those new experiences that's now in preview is the Solution Checker. You published a blog post on the Power Apps blog last week on the 7th of December, and basically introducing the preview of that and where to get it. So tell us a little bit about where did the Solution Checker come from?
Yeah, so the Solution Checker really came from a lot of manual code reviews that were completed, that we were completing internally for our customers and partners, and we were noticing various patterns that were being adopted by customers and partners that were causing performance impacts or stability issues on the platform themselves. So a team started developing a tool to actually go automatically analyze customer solutions and actually build a real deep report out and provide that back to customers. It's really valuable. We're getting so much information around per and good customizations, way customers can extend the platform, that we decided to make this broadly available to all makers and customizers. And really what it is, it's really going to drive the quality of solutions that are out in the marketplace today. Or
so
even from our
is this something that Microsoft and the team used internally first, and now you're releasing it for public consumption?
So we do use the tool internally. We have our own first-party apps running their applications through our service as well, or the feature, finding issues, and they're retrospectively going fixing those issues as well. So the same tool that's used for out on the app stores for ISVs, now we're making for all makers and customizers, including our internal first-party teams.
What versions does it work with? Can I use it on my CRM 2016?
So it works with all online versions, version 9 upwards, and obviously our new CDS platform as well.
And what kind of things specifically is it looking for? I know you mentioned performance things. Give us some examples of what are some things that this might come back and tell you have something wrong with your solution.
Yeah, so we've got automated checks against 27 rules right now, but we are building and extending that rule base. And really what we're looking at all custom scripts, plugins, custom workflows, and really identifying what are those performance patterns in there that may cause end user experience or even slow down the overall platform or the instance itself. Examples like that are pretty prevalent in a lot of our solutions that we've already done in preview is synchronous web requests coming in, which will really slow down from an end user experience. There's synchronous requests, and that will cause UI to spin or hang. And we're identifying a lot of those patterns. And that's just one, Joel, that we're looking at. That's a real impactful end user experience change if people move to an asynchronous pattern as they're doing it.
Now, other checkers that Microsoft has done in the past, like the update advisors and things like that, have been useful to a point, but some of them have some false positives or certain things that in a clean room scenario, well, they're true. There's legitimate business or technical reasons why you might do something differently. What would you say to that if we run this against our solution and it flags something, but we know what we're doing. There's a reason we're doing it that way. Can we give you feedback on it? What would you recommend?
Absolutely. Give us the feedback. And we have to work that feedback channel into the tool set itself or the feature. But ideally, what we want to get out of our preview is to identify those patterns that are throwing those false positives for sure, and try and refine the rule sets that we're implementing to make sure that false positives aren't thrown. And also, you're correct. There is some legitimate patterns out there where you may need a synchronous request, or you may need to select all columns in a plugin from a cloning situation. Feed that information back to us in Microsoft. We're constantly looking to refine and improve the rule sets as we go along this journey, and it is really a journey that we're on right now. This is the first release of the solution checker. We're looking to improve and roll out new versions as we go along, and improve those checks that we're actually executing as well. But definitely feedback any of that information to us internally, and we will get those retrofitted back into the checks themselves.
Does Solution Checker work on managed solutions or unmanaged only? And the reason I'm asking that, just obviously, I'd love to run it against code. As an implementer, I would like to run it against solutions or code that's being delivered by partners. And it comes in both unmanaged and managed forms. So how would I manage that?
Yep. So right now today, George, it works on unmanaged solutions that are installed in your environment. We can export and check those. For managed solutions, we are looking to tie in to the import process as you're working in your environment, potentially allow you to scan solutions via that process as well. But for right now, the current capability is unmanaged solutions at this point in time, but we are looking to extend it to cover those managed solution scenarios as well.
But even now, I believe that I'm able to ask a partner, for example, if they give me a solution, can I ask them to run it on their unmanaged version and say, give me a report? Would that work?
That's what we'd actually encourage our customers to do. If you're working with your SIs or partners, before you install this in your instances, ask the customers and partners, or ask the partners or SIs for a report that you can review of that unmanaged solution prior to importing the managed solution into your environment. We are looking at new ways to potentially include the check results with the managed and unmanaged solutions XML itself, but that is a good bit further out that we need to go look at and work out the technicalities of it. But I would encourage it to, ask your partners and customers or SIs to actually provide the report as a quality checkpoint. Let them explain the issues in the checked results. Some may be legitimate, as Joel mentioned earlier, and some may not. And really hold them accountable for the quality that's going to be implemented in your own environments.
So I'm going to ask a question that I'm sure George has on his list, but I want to beat him to it. And that is, when is this going to work outside of North America? Now, for me, I'm fine if everything only works in North America.
That wasn't my next question.
but for George, when can George start using this solution?
So that's a great point, Joel, and I'm happy to announce that actually this is available.
You never know when I'm going to turn up in North America. I may be there right now.
It is available outside North America as of yesterday.
Whoa, breaking news.
It's about to update our blog posts to actually announce that it is available in all public regions that we support Dynamics and Power Apps. So it's available today.
Fantastic. So now my question, how many enemies did you make inside Microsoft? Because I bet you ask people to dog food their solutions like, I don't know, Dynamics 365 for sales, and you put it through a solution checker, and my bet would be it would all go mostly red at the beginning. So I just wonder, how did the process go internally, or how it's going? I guess it's ongoing process. So how is it still going? And how many people not talking to you anymore?
We call them frenemies. But no, in all honesty, quality is being pushed down right from the top down to all the individual app development teams. We have to make sure our house is clean, as Justin hold us accountable just as much as for SIs and partners developing on top of the platform. We're investing a lot right now over the last semester and the coming semesters in quality and diagnostics tools. And we have to be the best first party customer of our own, right? We need to make sure we're following the best practices as well, and not just our customers. They both need to marry together to perform high performing solutions and platform. So in that answer to your question, George, none at all. This has been pushed down from the top down, and we're excited about it. And actually, even our first-party teams are excited to actually learn about the issues in their solutions without having to do deep level, line-by-line code checks.
So there's a number of different kind of wizards and checkers available. I mean, think of when you publish a solution, it checks for dependencies that are missing from your solution. Now we have this. Various Microsoft products have accessibility checkers. So is the plan to have these as separate things, or will this be in some way coming together with some of these other wizards and checker experiences?
Yeah, we're going to have to bring them together over time. We have the app checker, the dependency checkers. We will need to bring them. As more and more items become solution aware, like Canvas apps recently, we need to build those kind of checkers back into the solution check capabilities, so you get a full 360 view of whatever's in that solution. That will happen over time, Joel, but definitely that is on the roadmap to complete as well.
And is this just checking the CDS components, like your entities and your configuration? Is it also looking at your flows and those pieces as well?
At this point, flows aren't part of it. Again, they were just a new addition to the solutions. Right now, it's checking your custom scripts, your plugins, your custom workflows, so all your custom codes. But we need to weave in the recent additions, which is the flow and the Canvas apps, back into the check capabilities as well. We have those individual checkers as well for Canvas driven apps. We have the app checker. Flow is flow checker. We need to start integrating those back into the overall solution checkers in the future. On the roadmap, though, I would say.
Good. I'm excited to use solution checker against all the stuff, all the, should I say, crap we piled up over the years, and just make sure I understand, what do you guys want from us? So that's been it's been a journey, and like in any development, and Joel would attest to that, when you take a project in isolation that's been around for months and months and perhaps years, anyone new who walks in and take a look at it and say, what a pile of goo. And I've been very careful in making statements like that, just because I've been around for a long time. And I know when I take a fresh look at my own projects and say, my first reaction is, ouch. Like, what was I smoking when I wrote that? And I know that it's been incremental development, and trying to satisfy immediate requirements, it always comes at cost of quality. So to have the tool that kind of lends us a hand maintaining this quality along the way would be a great help.
I'm trying to visualize, advise my clients, at what points in a project or deployment lifecycle should we be running this? You don't want to just run it at the end, because then you find all the problems and you don't have time to fix them. I'm thinking you need to plan on running it multiple times, and then, you get a new version. There's some new endpoints or some new methods in there that would be more performant. Then you might need to run it then too. So what are you advising people of when during their life cycle of their deployment should they be running the solution checker? Every day? Or
Yeah. To be honest, no harm. It depends on the number of changes they're making, but there's no reason not to run this very frequently on the solutions that they're developing on. Definitely within the development environments, because if they run it frequently there and they catch new issues early in their development cycle, they're more likely to fix them rather than when they're coming to an end of a project and they need to go live tomorrow. We've all been in those situations. So the more frequent runs of the check against their modified solutions going to help elevate those questions and those issues earlier and give them time to resolve them, build them back into their project plan. So run it frequently in their development environments. Ideally, we should be using managed solutions and exporting those managed solutions for upper end environments. So definitely run it frequently and regularly.
Well, if we want people to run it frequently in a large enterprise deployment that automates their solution deployments, any thoughts to making this being able to rerun programmatically or scheduled type run where we don't have to manually run it?
Now you did take a question out of my mouth, Joel. But I was going to phrase it much more eloquently. So have you given any thoughts to creating an API that would allow us to run it and then kind of flag the issues? Kind of like a lint, I can run lint against my code and then say any issue with severity 3 or higher, create a bug in our system automatically or something like this.
Yeah, we've given plenty of thought. It's not far from the top of my mind right now, to be quite honest. We're looking at how we can build, provide a CLI, an API into the service itself and return a standard lint output file, a Serif output, where you can parse and actually build them into your own release processes. But I don't have a timeline against that, Jordan, Joe, but it definitely is top of mind to light that feature up for our larger enterprises. I want to make sure that our smaller enterprises and makers are accounted for as well through a GUI or an interface like the Solution Checker as it is today. But for those large enterprise releases, definitely that API automation, that release build integration is going to be key to getting those results back on a daily basis. So yes, we are looking at that coming the new year and seeing what capabilities we can line up there as well.
And then you can add something that automatically punishes the developer that did the bad thing.
Like an electric shock or something? Is that what
exactly.
I can build a flow that does that.
Yeah. I'll come in and say just even more. It's not just about telling you about the issues. We're developing deep guidance and how you can go about resolving the issues, what kind of patterns we typically identify, what's the best pattern to use when we flag an issue. So it's more than just, hey, you've got a problem. It's that connected story where you can actually say, okay, I've got a problem, but how do I go fix it? We're developing each of our issues that we're flagging in the Solution Checker has deep guidance documents out on our doc site right now, today, and it actually tells you how to go about fixing them, the patterns you should implement, but also why this is a problem. We don't want to just say you have an issue without telling you and explaining to you why we believe this is an issue. It'll give you the details to actually figure out how to go fix it as well. I think that's an important step.
Yeah, that is. And so right now you go to AppSource, or you go to the instance selector and go install it from AppSource and the solutions. Is the plan to always have it like that, or what is the decision about when something is installed from AppSource versus just a core platform feature that everybody has?
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're successful first, and we're going to gauge that over the next 2-3 months. Get feedback from our partner base, and then work with our chief architects within CRM to ideally put this as part of the core platform. We wanted to get the capability out there first, get it out there fast, learn from it, and then build it in the platform, ideally. We didn't want to delay getting the solution, and given the capabilities for all makers and customizers to actually go check their solutions right now today, but also for us to learn and to make sure before we build into the core platform, have we got everything captured that we need to do, and actually get ourselves lined up as well before we change the core bits of the platform to support the check capabilities. And that's really the decision points we come across. With speed to market, but also then making sure that we have all the necessary checks and balances before we go implement it on the core platform, which will then get built out with every CDS or CE instance.
So if people want to give you feedback, like they say, oh, you should check for this, or like we talked before, if they think they get a false positive. I see people leaving comments on your blog post on the Power Apps blog. Is that the way to get you feedback, or what's the best way to get you specifically feedback about the solution checker?
Yeah, so for false positives, we need to work out the feedback channel within the solutions experience itself. How right now, what we're trying to line up for in the January timeframe is not just a download option of results, which it is today in some graphical interfaces in the Excel, but also viewing those results online. That'll be the first step, and then we'll be lighting up a capability in the near future after that to actually provide feedback on the rule sets there as well. So as you're looking at your results online, you can say this is a false positive, here's why we believe it's a false positive, and then the engineering team can actually go mine that data and actually figure out why a false positive was fired potentially, or was it just scrap that? Just cut me at the end, Joel. So actually, where it was a false positive fired or not, we can go research that information.
Okay.
Now the question, I finally figured out what I was going to ask, and my question was from ISP perspective. I would need to run some checks on my solution before submitting it to AppSource, right? So is AppSource going to run a solution checker, or it goes through a bit more stringent checks than that? How's that process going to work? How am I going to use solution checker as part of my ISV pipeline, so to speak?
Yep. So the ISV have a capability today called pre-certification, where they can actually upload their managed or unmanaged solutions as it is into a blob location, and then that actually gets checked as a pre-certification stage and on-demand stage. That the actual process behind that is the same analysis engine that's used by Solution Checker. So it's the same underneath the hood service. What we do for AppSource is there's a few more additional rules in those AppSource checks to be more stringent. And then once their ISVs are happy, they submit their app for certification, which then again, the internal certification team will run the checks against the Solution Checker service to actually validate it. Plus additional checks. I'm not part of that compliance team, but I know there's more additional checks than they do than just the code base itself.
Well, I'm looking forward, to use it. So I was told that ISVs go through a bit more stringent checks. So I assume Solution Checker is just part of it. But given that I can all go green with the Solution Checker, I assume there are much better chances for me passing the rest of the bar to get into App Store. So that's great news. So,
I think the value in both is the ease of use of Solution Checker. Once it's installed, it's a quick double-click, one-click check on your solutions. There's a little bit more heavy lifting when we go out to the ISV pre-certification process. We get your solutions uploaded to blob locations and passing the SaaS URI, etc. Like this is really a quick check that you can perform. The majority of the rules in the Solution Checker, or in the ISV, I should say, are in the Solution Checker. The ones we left out, just to be very clinically explained, is those high false positive rules that you referenced, Joel. We wanted to go high confidence rule for Solution Checker right now until we get to look at those rules that are driving some of those false positives and actually refine them and try and reduce the noise level down on them.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be good, and that's why we'll have everybody tries it out, needs to pass their feedback along, say what works, say what doesn't work, because together we can help make the solution better.
Absolutely.
Do you guys actually dive into something like C# code for plugins, or you're not going to that level?
We don't have the source code, but what we do interrogate is the IL of those plugins. If we had the, and this maybe when it comes to actually the release build integration, you could give us a debug build with the PDB symbols that we can actually go and very granular isolate the line numbers that are actually in those DLLs that are actually causing the issues to get flagged. But right now, it's we interrogate the IL and actually look for those various patterns that we're looking for.
And are you looking for the performance, say, of forms? For example, you might have everything a totally modern web resource or control, but you have too many of them on a form. Are you looking for that kind of thing?
Not right now, but we are in conversations about understanding what those thresholds are that we should look at within the form itself. How many subgrids, how many attributes, how many sections? What does that first tab look like from a form perspective? And we're working with our UI team to actually identify what those patterns are to build in. We can definitely go interrogate or analyze that when we have the rules in place.
Right. And I've always thought some of the things that are limitations that are built into the platform for performance reasons are well-intentioned, but they're very arbitrary. I think, I can't remember exactly what the limit is for number of widgets on a dashboard, something like 6 or something. And if you were on premises, you could change an environment setting that would make that bigger, but with online you can't. My thought would be maybe some of those could be raised or almost removed if we had the solution checker automatically say, wag a finger and say this may be poor performing, because there's some cases where you can get put up with a little bit slower performance if it's going to give you value.
I don't have a good answer to that, Joel, to be honest with you. It's though I don't know the limitations that or the thresholds that you're referencing. I would need to contact or work with the UI team on what those thresholds are, why they're in place. Is there any risks to actually removing those thresholds or allowing them to be configurable? And what are they? And also, has the platform got better to actually allow some ease on those those thresholds as well? But I need to go talk to the UI team who are really the SMEs in that area and figure this out. They're the ones I'm actually working with for those other thresholds that we want to potentially flag through the solution check as well.
The better the thing is that comes out, the fewer questions we usually have, because it's kind of, it's, we've been waiting for it. You guys delivering exactly what we've been asking for. So we just go ahead and we're going to try it and we'll give you feedback. So cool. What else?
Yeah, and it's a good sign, because normally if something isn't good, you get a lot of questions like, why are you doing this? But in this case, people generally say, this is cool. I wish it could also do X, Y, and Z on top of this. And that's a good thing. So yeah, it's overdue, I think, and it's something that I think will help give users in general a better experience, because there's a lot of things that makers get into, bad habits or old habits or baggage or technical debt or whatever you want to say, and they never clean that up. And this is just something saying, hey, there's a better way to do this. They'll give you better performance.
Yeah. There's many reasons why things don't perform well. Just making sure there's a level playing field, no matter what your experience is going to be key in this as well. We've good developers, we've poor developers, but they all can extend on the platform, and that's the value add of the platform itself. But making sure that we stay within those bumper or guardrails, as we say it, is going to be key for just improving the overall experience of users on the platform or the solutions that they're using. We're hoping customers will enjoy our partners, SIs. Will start using it and really driving quality into every solution that's actually implemented. So we're constantly looking at the incidents that are arriving into our call centers and actually try and see if there's patterns that we can actually identify in solutions that are causing them. And before, we've been very, fix it for one customer, but we've had no channel to actually go inform other customers about these patterns, except for docs, right? But docs, people can read as many docs as they want, doc articles, but sometimes that message doesn't land as Just getting
it can be hidden down in there.
Hold on. Can I just ask you something?
I just one more question too. So ask your question, then we'll.
Yeah. Oh no, I should have.
Hold on. Now, you mentioned something really interesting. You're saying, "Oh, we're gonna look at telemetry, coming through." And are you saying that your plans include kind of tying back any results that Solution Checker might produce for a specific solution? Let's assume it's published through the app source, right? Because you can't tie it back to a random solution. So you would get something like a signature of the solution or something like this. And you're saying that you're kind of thinking of tying it back to some telemetry that you can get in your data centers about use of specific plugin and so on, and like basically correlate like low quality of or specific features of the solutions, deployed solutions, and level of kind of support calls they generate. Is that what am I kind of hearing you correctly?
Yeah, and I wasn't really there's a rough correlation there. I was more intimating that as a support ticket comes into our call centers and they're analyzing the issue itself, if we can identify a pattern that's caused that incident to come in, whether it's per performing or reliability issue that's caused by a customization itself, can we build those checks into Solution Checker to say, hey, here's a pattern that's happened in one customization. Can we tell? Can we?
I see.
Yeah.
Can we go? I see. It's other way around. It's basically you're saying.
I will stop you. That's what I meant by that. But you brought up a good point in saying, can you tie static analysis to runtime? Can we show, hey, this is truly impacting you as a customer, and here's how it's impacting you? We are thinking about that as well. For example, yeah, I think that is longer term, George, but if we could tie runtime analysis with static analysis and truly say yes, because the issue with static analysis, it can be false positives. We don't know if that code path is going to get hit or gets hit once a month, for example. But if we can explicitly say, hey, this code path or this issue has happened 50 times in the last day, this is really truly impacting you, and bump the severity or really the frequency or show the frequency within the check itself. That's a real nirvana sweet spot to be in, right? And actually show true impact based on runtime metrics of something identified through static.
I was more wondering when you said telemetry, if you're actually capturing telemetry from people running the Solution Checker to identify what are the most common issues.
We do capture at high level what common issues are, just at a very high level, and say, like the one patterns that I mentioned in the call around synchronous web requests, selecting all columns in plugins, they are very prevalent for sure across all solutions. So they're the most common high impact ones we're looking at right now. We have a lot of API or not using the latest APIs. The APIs are going to be deprecated. Don't ask me when, maybe version 10, but we're flagging those in the Solution Checker as well to give people time to actually go update their customizations or scripts to actually use the latest APIs. So we are looking at what are the common patterns, but we're not looking at can we identify new patterns in solutions itself. That's real kind of AI stuff.
Okay. Well, great. Well, Aengus, Ken, thank you.
Answer your question, George.
Yeah, look, it's basically both ways. I told you the way you kind of you have a long view on, which is great, and I wasn't thinking the way you describe it that you actually using some dynamic feedback from the support to actually improve the Solution Checker to identify the ongoing issues, the issues that are causing most of the problems, and then use that information to actually add new checks to the Solution Checker and new capabilities. That's actually cool. I haven't thought about this, so yeah, that's awesome.
We have so many signals coming into us. That's one. It's nearly because we have our We have obviously our frontline customer support teams. We also have our Microsoft consulting teams, our PFE teams. We also internally on our product teams, we're finding new rules to implement, or through deep investigations of issues that this is not a good thing to allow customers to do. So there's multiple signals coming in. I'm really getting excited that now that we've released version 1, it's out there. We can now focus back on building the core engine, which is the rules, and allowing us to do that. It's going to be exciting over the next 3 to 6 months to actually build up more impactful rules as we go along. We have a backlog to get through.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, taking time, Aengus. We really appreciate it. We'll put links to where to find the information about the solution checker in your blog post in our episode show notes.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.